Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Gaper.io. Today, we have Ron Klink. Ron is the president and owner of R&L. Ron, welcome to the show.
Mustafa, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, give us a brief background on what you've been doing for the past 10 years.
Sure. So I've been in the past 10 years, Mustafa, I've been in the IT industry pretty much all my entire working professional career. I've worked on Wall Street for over 10 and a half years. From there, I went into the healthcare IT system where I worked for two New York City hospitals here in Queens. And from there, I went to work for a nonprofit managed care company that provides free to low cost health insurance to individuals, employees, families, depending on their annual income. But I've gained a lot of knowledge throughout my entire technology career and profession, where I've learned to adapt and to focus what's more trending now, what keeps us safe in these difficult times that everyone's going through right now, and to move forward and to always think outside the box and stay in a positive attitude as much as we can.
Got it. So, just moving fast forward, and keeping the conversation much more relevant towards today's times, right? So, COVID, unfortunate times because of COVID, and everyone has been just forced to work from home, right? So as a founder, CEO, owner of a company, how you've been able to, because founders are supposed to be workaholics, for them life has been, it starts the day and they just keep on working whole day. And coming back home, it reminds them, okay, I need to switch off, right? So have you been able to cope up with that? The sales, the delivery, the execution, and the mental health balance. How you've been able to do that?
Sure, great question. So as far as with the mental health, founders, owners of companies, and CEOs titles like those, you work at whatever time they wake up early in the morning towards the end of the business day. And when you come home, you need to recharge, because if you don't, if you keep working throughout the night, 8 to 12 hours a day, whichever it may be, at some point that person is going to run out of steam and they're going to burn themselves out, and they're not going to be able to focus right, or they'll make poor business decisions that will affect them and their company as well as their employees. So there is a need to rest at nighttime, or if they're working nights, then sometime throughout the day that needs to be taken into account for a certain amount of time, whatever that time that may be for themselves.
Got it.
As far as sales and implementation rollouts for my company, during the height of COVID, my company, everything came to almost pretty much to a screeching halt, as well as other industries, from my technology area to airlines and cruises. All industries had come to a screeching halt, except for, essential businesses such as hospitals, supermarkets, gas stations, etc. But, so mine took a little bit of a hit as well. It was quiet for the first few months of the height of COVID, but as it towards the end of August, coming into September, things started picking up now, which is great. In the beginning, companies were just sticking with what they have, resources that they have, or connecting with their current provider and renewing their contracts with them, who they have, instead of going with a new service provider. So that's what's been going on. But as far as trying to move sales, implementation and rollouts, that's always been an easy thing to do. It's just getting the customer on board and for them to say, yes, all right, let's get going.
Got it. So, Ron, you have almost a 10-year experience on working on the Wall Street, right? So finance, banking, insurance, they've been the most conservative in every field, even getting rid of a tie from the financial sector has been a challenge for the last 5 years, and let alone talk about technology and cloudless servers and, it's just. So now, because of COVID, everyone was forced to go remote, right? So do you think once the world goes back to normal, the financial sector would be much more receptive towards the technological changes, or they would just go back to be what they do?
Well, I mean, we unfortunately we can't go back to what we're doing. Everyone's doing pre-COVID. Um, we've been put into a new type of environment, and as I said before, we need to adapt and we need to acknowledge what we're in right now and learn how to go about our new normal lives. What people say, the new normalcy here in the world. So we need to adapt as to how we're going to survive in business as a society and personal aspect as well. As far as on the business end, companies are coming back to the New York City financial area. Right now, about less than 15% of companies are back in the New York City area in their office environments. The rest of them are still working remote from home. The technology has always been there for us to do remote, but there was never a full push until COVID-19 came knocking on our doorstep. And that's when a lot of businesses started to shut down. Everyone was out of their office environment and working remote. From a business standpoint, even from an educational standpoint, from all the New York City public schools, everyone had to go do remote learnings, and that had to be done on a fast track. Within a week or less to get technology up and running. So, like I said, the technology was always there. Now it's been implemented. Now we have to adapt again and succeed in pushing this forward. Yes, going back to in-office environment is good. You miss the people, speaking to people in person, the collaborations, and the atmosphere there. That's something that everyone has missed for the past 6 to 7 months. But now doing video chats such as Zoom and other similar video platforms, it's at least giving us some type of positive outlook to go on. But when we get back in person, it's going to be even better, and we're going to be stronger and more positive than ever before than we were pre-COVID.
Got it. So last question, you've been a New Yorker your life. So with all the commercial real estate, so the remote work with the WeWork, and then the debacle, everyone was that offices being rethought, right? So now with all that commercial real estate becoming available, what do you see? Do you think offices will be back, or what's going to happen with all this real estate?
Well, as far as I'm not a real estate agent, but from what I know of in the commercial area, like I said, less than 15% people are back in their office. Companies, especially big companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Google, companies like that, even small to medium-sized businesses need to reconfigure their office space. So, and a lot of people are staggering their working hours, the different days that they go in to adhere to their company's procedures and policies, such as social distancing, being 6 feet or more apart, in that sense. So there's definitely a reconfiguration of office equipment, either the need for smaller or bigger space. But companies like WeWork, Regis are learning to adapt in this new type of environment that everyone's in. Coming back with either more competitive pricing, for the yearly or monthly rentals, and giving more options for clients to come back in and work in those types of office environments and feel safe about it as well.
True. Ron, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm sure we could have talked for another 15 to 20 minutes, but we have to keep our podcast within 8 to 12 minutes. Thank you so much for being on the show. Take care of yourself and stay safe.
Mustafa, thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Stay healthy and stay safe out there.